we're told that everything is energy, and it feels very true. We're also encouraged to move away from old paradigms and to trust the inner voices that are ever so gentle and we often ignore. At the same time, what is thrown our way from outside forces that we have become dependent on, such as not only our gadgets but all the mass media information, is bringing up a lot of fear and a lot of anger and a lot of disillusionment, because very little encouragement, if ever, is given in relation to our well-being, happiness, serenity, health, and inner peace. Therefore, more than ever, it seems highly important to prioritize our ways by actually ensuring that we live in an inner space of connection between our feelings and our thoughts that in turn connect to the greater whole, because everything being energy and interconnected, then we're in a better position to actually imprint in our essence the goodness that comes from the greatest and best provision of light. Because this energy, as many sages wrote in their ancient texts or in tablets that are now being translated after new findings seem to appear all over the world more frequently than they had 20 years ago and earlier, there is this understanding that our mind is more like an antenna and a receptor of everything else. It's not where our own identity and thoughts come from. Therefore, one of the perennial questions remains, where do our thoughts come from? We've all been conditioned since birth. We went to schooling systems where everything was sorted out in certain ways, and our parents preceded us, and the lucky ones before that did the same. Many didn't have that kind of education at all. Strangely enough, it seems, however, and sadly, that people enjoying conversations of a higher nature on philosophy, psychology, ancient history, the old age questions of who we are and why we're here and so on, seem to be forgotten by the majority of people, because they have to deal with nitty-gritty situations that affect their lives daily, such as, unfortunately and tragically, all the weather situations that they have to face in floods and volcanic eruptions and seismic tremors and the like, and or due to political and economic situations that take away the time and the energy that if they were invested in knowledge and really getting at the root of things, would probably help their lives considerably and move them into better spaces and better manifestations. And these people don't even know what is available and what isn't in the way of knowledge beyond what the mass media put out. And moreover, the saddest thing of all is that we're all getting very, very hooked on our phones, and we almost can no longer live without them. Yet, if we reflect and spend more time in nature, more time meditating on breath techniques that are empowering and bring health, we realize that indeed it is really very wise to be aware of this dependency on our phones and our tablets and similar AI mechanisms, so that we don't lose our ability to spend time with others and enjoy their company and communicate with them face to face, letting our emotions be free, real, and sincere. So this situation having got out of hand and leading us more and more into AI technology, whereby we already have robots that look extremely human and talk extremely in a very credible, person-like way, and evidently are also now being made with the idea of giving them full consciousness, risks taking us to areas we may regret when it's too late. Our little planet, which is surrounded by a myriad of similar ones with life in our galaxy alone, there being innumerable galaxies forever transforming and increasing in size, because every thought we have, every second of the day, everywhere on our planet, goes on forever and ever, and creates new horizons, because this is the way of the omnipresence and omnipotence of this divine spiritual light that I mentioned before, connected to energy, which has to do with the God we all carry within, together with everything else, including inanimate things. So being aware of all of these, it might help then to construct an existence that's very simple, very serene, very earthy, very grounded, remembering that the four elements that were so sacred and still are in Asian culture especially, they were aware of, but even before then, meaning the power of fire and water and earth and air, are essential to our well-being, and therefore in situations where more and more mechanization is invented without good thought about the consequences, and in a situation where people at the top of the pyramid who have not been elected in their positions but find themselves there because throughout the ages they were able to get to that particular prestigious top of decision making via suspect intentions of control and power, and telling us what we can or cannot do, what we should or shouldn't do, how and when to act, so that everything becomes mechanized and under their scrutiny while they continue living in the way they tell us not to do ourselves, and follow therefore the old adagio of do as I say, don't do as I do. Then if we bring all our inner resilience to the fore in the best possible light, divinely guided way that takes us to sublime realities where manifestation is continuous, and we have such a pleasure even in a very tragic world existence around us to enjoy every single breath we take with a gratitude due to whoever our specific creator was, and all the beauty that surrounds us in nature, then we are perpetuating this light to higher realms, and all together we contribute to bring the darkness out to the fore so that justice can be made and compassion and love can reign. So, simply put, this is one way of having a day, but not the only way. What is yours? For example, good practices include, before falling asleep, because we don't really have the time to, or the way to know what our thoughts and feelings are going to go through while we sleep, we could just and simply write a list of something between 5 and 10 good happenings, good events, good feelings, good thoughts, good moments that we had during that day, no matter how small. For example, the sight of a beautiful little bird flying around where you are and feeling comfortable with your presence and chirping and looking for insects around your feet. Or, for example, a beautiful flow of water that you might have even imagined or seen in a painting if you don't live close to a river or to the ocean or to a creek or similar. Or, for example, just the shape of a stone on the gravel you walk on, and it's different colors to the others and shape that maybe reminds you of something else, anything at all. And then you're preparing your mind in a grateful way and in a positive way so that when you do fall asleep, you actually have just a lovely, serene disposition, and you ensure in this way that no bad thoughts, no bad dreams, no nightmares come into your consciousness. Then, when you wake up eventually, assuming that you can go throughout the night, and some people say that if you wake up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, that's very normal and very lucky, because that's when good things happen within and without us. But say that you get up at another time that's very highly praised, and that's sunrise, to enjoy the new dawn of a day, or say that you get up later because you're a shift worker or whatever. If you try to put a smile on your face for the mere fact that you made it through another day and you've got another precious lot of beautiful hours ahead of you that you can use either positively or negatively, depending on your attitude. But of course, the positively is what is going to make you feel serene and good. The negative is going to make you feel like you want to be in control, like you need more, like whatever you have is never going to be enough, and it's not going to satisfy you. It's like the difference between having a meal made of junky chemical type food that makes you even hungrier and leads you eventually to obesity, diabetes, and all sorts of health issues, and instead having a wholesome one with some protein first to make you feel satisfied, which could be maybe some fish or some meat if you're not vegetarian entirely, or could be some types of organic soybeans if you can find them, and, or other types of legumes with a lot of greens that hopefully are organic, or maybe you just bless with your intention before eating them. And then with this smile on your face, you are ready for the rest of the day. And many people now are very, very, very keen on not eating for up to 18 hours a day. Sometimes they fast for 2 or 3 days just on water, or maybe coffee and or tea as well as water, which is not bubbly. but they all feel very high benefits with this fasting technique, which many call intermittent fasting, and they seem to have heap of energy and heaps of positive attitudes in life as well. And many of these people also practice yoga to stretch, especially if they're over 55. And in fact, when you look at some of the older people in the 80 and 90 category these days, you wouldn't even say they are the age they are, because their attitude to life and their bodies and their ability that they have to carry things and move around almost painless, and that type of healthy participation in life is enviable by some of the younger people who look like they've got the world's problems on their shoulders, and unfortunately it seems are all over the world, although this is not common knowledge, often taking their lives because they can't cope with what they have around them, because they don't realize that they have to do their own thinking, they have to go into their own inner sanctum, and that can only be done through meditation or being quiet or letting this little voice talk. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And of course, the music they're listening to and all the noises that they are so engulfed in is taking the space more and more away from them, and they try to dull their senses, but they don't manage because there is no satisfaction. Instead, if they created a space of silence and they were able to enjoy it, then for sure they would manage to get in touch with their real essence and their own being, and would thus really benefit from everything that life gives us abundantly still at the moment, and thus in turn again contribute to the well-being of many others through their example.